Why am I always laughing? Welcome to my cake kitchen. And if it's the first time we're meeting, whether you're catching me on a live or on replay, great to have you and thank you for being here. We're just going to jump into it. What are we doing today? We are reviewing a Claire Saffitz chocolate layer cake we made yesterday, plus the accompanying buttercream and all that we did about it. If you see me for the first time on this subject, you were late to the party because we made the cake yesterday on a live. Those are the two current lives, that most recent lives that you will see. We baked the cake and then we also made time to finish the buttercream last night. Now, the idea was to leave the cake to set and then come back and have a look at it. So the cake we have left to set. So the intention is to look at the cake, look at the crumb integrity and quality of the crumb, taste, mouthfeel overall, and see if it's worth the hype. Because the claim for the cake is it will be the only layer cake, the only chocolate cake recipe you'll ever need. Bold claim. But so far, if you've seen the previous videos, we knew it was the claim was probably not overhyped and was true because of the person making the claim. Claire Saffitz is a chef, author, recipe developer. She has all the knowledge and chops to make a cake that will be rated good. And so her word is worth the weight of it. When even the technique and process and her video for the cake itself is a masterclass in baking. And yesterday, yeah, there was a lot of fangirling about Claire Saffitz, but I'm over it today. Let's look at the crumb integrity, because when a cake, the crumb quality, because when a cake is baked fresh, the way it feels differs slightly when it is left to freeze or left over a countertop. But if you leave the cake to freeze, I guess you'll be interfering with it in a different way that may also affect texture, improve moisture. So a fair sort of assessment of it is just leave the cake to cool completely at room temperature. So I wrapped the cake up in cling film, and the intention was to trap the moisture in whilst also not exposing the crust or crumb to air. So we finished the cake, I think, was it just about 8 p.m. So it's been a little less than 24 hours ago since we made the cake. It was a really good cake when it came out. I don't think anything will change much about it. If anything, it is just going to be just as good a cake as possible. And the claims that were made about it is probably just as true to the word of the person making the claim, which in this case is the recipe developer herself, which is Claire Saffitz. So you know what? I have nothing to say here. The cake is still great. The crumb is good. Look at that crumb. It's a light textured sponge. I guess when I tasted that yesterday, and I knew this was a good cake from the start, and that is because I've been baking for 10 years and I've been interested in cake and textures and crumb quality and all of that stuff. So you know a cake is going to be good when you look at the ingredient combination and technique. And whatever Claire did over there, I knew it was a good one. I just wanted to try it and say, I did it. I know it's good, so you don't have to take my word for it. So what we're looking at here is a well-textured cake. If you look closely into the crumb, it is very tight. You're not looking at air bubbles in them, because the difficulty, this cake is made with oh, hi there, Stick, is it Stick let me call you Stick, okay? And who else? Taco and Stick. Hi there. Hello. Sorry, I've just been in my own little world here, because sometimes when I show up on the live, I don't expect anyone to be here. I just keep talking to the camera and hope that in replay somebody will be interested in what I am doing or have done. So if you're in there, hello and hi. I hope you Esther Esther Supati. Hi there. So anyway, so let's get back to talking about the cake and the crumb quality. You know what? I have nothing to say. I won't be banging on about it. And this is also taken into account. This is also taking into account the simple fact that I made substitution to the flour. Claire was using cake flour in her recipe, but because I'm in the UK, I had to use self-raising flour. I could have settled for sponge flour for sponge, which is a sort of finely milled flour, but it's neither here nor there. The point is, I was never going to use that exact same ingredient. And the simple reason being in the UK, bleached cake flour is banned. As a result, the substitute we have here is not going to be an exact replacement of the US brand of bleached cake flour. So I can only imagine that her recipe with the right cake flour that she used would only have yielded such a light, delicate, textured cake that would be amazing. But even with the replacement of the flour using self-raising flour here, we have a cake that is so, it looks like it's dense and moist, but it really isn't. If you look closely into the crumb over here, because it's broken, we have a sponge that is still like light enough. It's not giving crumbly dry, if you like. So if you're a chocolate cake lover or you're a baker who is looking for a very reliable recipe, this is a good one. It's the chocolate cake by Claire Saffitz that is made, I think, New York Times Cooking. It's a YouTube channel, and this particular recipe has over 1.4 million views since it was made a year ago, and it's worth the hype. Exactly, it is worth the hype. It's a good cake recipe over here. So I'm happy I tried it, but yeah, I just wanted to get my thoughts on that out of the way. That aside, the other thing she did was she developed a matching buttercream to go with the cake. She made some peculiar changes and adaptations and used some real techniques to derive her buttercream. And it's supposed to be a German buttercream that would eventually have a change in an ingredient, which is replacing corn starch with flour. And she made a point of explaining her reasoning for it, which is that her aim was to ensure that the flour would absorb very well into the buttercream and not break even if it was frozen and had to be brought back to room temperature. You know what? I wanted to test that claim just to be sure. So after deriving the buttercream yesterday, I just put a little portion of it in the fridge, just in the freezer. So this is a takeaway bowl and a plastic lined takeaway bowl. And I just scooped a little portion of the buttercream, put it in my freezer, shut it closed. About 11 p.m. today, it was frozen solid. I took it out, left it on the countertop, and it's exactly 3:57. And there you have it. It has come back together. It doesn't need anything doing to it at all. All I had to do is just mix it back, as you can see, and compared to the room temperature buttercream, you don't need to do anything. So I guess the claim Claire made about the buttercream being solid and a favorite for freezing and no problems coming with that is exactly true. I can confirm that because this is frozen and I don't have to do anything with it. Because for those of you in the chat, there is Tristan, there's Stickman, there is Esther, there is Tracy. Hello, all of you in the chat. If I'm not talking back at you, it's because I'm just trying to give the information and then I'll make time to talk to you, okay? Kimberly and Stick and all of you in there. Dominique, hello, all of you. Hello. If you're in the chat, hi. I hope you are all keeping well. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I am glad. It's a pleasure to have you. If you're trying to talk to me, please bear with me. Be patient with me. I will get to you and I will talk to you, because what we're doing here is very subject centered. I just want to be able to pass the information so that on replay, those who chance on the video will find the experience better and also be able to have the information they desire here. But of course, if you really want my interaction and you are impatient about it, I am so sorry. I can't do that for you right now. And I hope you understand. With that said, I was just on the subject of the buttercream. If you don't know much about buttercream, depending on what type of buttercream, sometimes especially the emulsion-based buttercreams, we're talking buttercreams like your meringue-based and custard-based buttercreams. Sometimes because of the mixture of ingredients, when you freeze them, the liquid separates from the fat, and sometimes you have to kind of reconstitute the buttercream by either warming them up and then whipping or mixing them. It can sometimes be a very difficult process and requires some understanding of the ingredients and how they interact with each other. So if you are a complete beginner who doesn't know all of these things, sometimes your buttercream will turn out a little bit broken or curdly, or your buttercream will look a mess and you think, oh, my buttercream is spoiled and I want to chuck it out. But that may not be the case. So I think if you are a beginner, this chocolate buttercream is solid for use, because whilst it may probably not be the best buttercream for covering your cake so in a polished manner, it is so beginner friendly. The sort of decoration we are going to undertake with covering the cake will probably appeal to you as a beginner. So my recommendation on the subject matter here is that I'll be linking Claire's video in the description box for later. And if you do happen to chance on the video, take it as a cake class, a master class of some sort. Take the information in, take your notes, and go practice it. It might probably end up being the start of a career path for you, because I struggle to come across, you know what, there are some really good teachers on the platform. Everyone has their style, and I think Claire's style is more appealing to me personally, because she takes time to explain the processes for you, and you are left in no doubt of what she has done and why she's done it, which kind of lends to the knowledge you are collecting from the experience you are having watching her video. And having undertaken the entire process of making the cake myself, this is a recipe I am definitely going to take with me. I'll probably in the future try and adapt it to enhance the flavor in ways that are suitable for me as an individual, but otherwise amazing cake texture, great recipe, and yeah, highly recommend, especially with the buttercream. Now, with all of that said, let's wipe up the table and then fill this cake and put it together so we can see what the cake is like. I mean, in her video, she put the cake together with such minimalistic detail, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. We are just going to keep it really, 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 really simple. And the idea is that if you do chance onto this video, this will go on to be something that you can practice and then end up making a cake for yourself in this season of giving, come say Thanksgiving, or even as Christmas is on the horizon for us. So I'm just gonna wipe that. So I am just going to follow some of the tips Claire used to cover her cake herself. So I'm just going to do exactly that. There's a bit of buttercream on the cake plate, and then I am going to put these strips. I've never had to do this before, but I think after watching her video, I see why she does it. And then she inverts. No, I don't do that. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. The whole point is that you don't soil your... Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I don't know if this will work, but hey. Right, so there you have it. Right, okay. Right, the whole point is that when you fill the cake up, you can pull the strips and then you still have a clean cake plate or stand, if you like. So with the buttercream, if you want to know all about the buttercream, how it was made and everything else in between, there are the live videos from previous yesterday will have all that information for you. So there's just a generous amount of buttercream in here. I am just spreading it enough. So we have just, well, the amount of buttercream in a cake also depends on what your preferences and palate is. I mean, this is not a customer cake, so, and it's cake tops down. Look, the plate that I was worried about messing up, my messy hands is messing the cake up anyway. So anyway, let's try. I mean, the buttercream is enough to cover the cake, so I am just going to go for the entire amount here. If you don't like so much buttercream, good for you. I think if you watch Claire's video, she talks you through crumb coats and why you should crumb coat, but we are not trying to do any of that, my lovelies. We are just about to cover this cake as best as we can with chocolate and then cut into it. If you are a beginner and you are able to bake a cake, right, that is presented like this. Look, I'll say this to you. If you're a beginner, don't worry yourself about the art of decorating a cake. That is if you haven't baked a cake before or never decorated a cake. Worry about getting yourself a tasty cake. A cake that tastes great. A cake that people will enjoy eating. Because half of the time, people, unless you're having a grand event, people don't care about how pretty a cake looks. But if your cake is not tasty, you will hear it, okay? So if you're a beginner, focus on deriving great recipes that taste great. If you can see what I'm doing here, I am not trying to decorate the cake to be like exceptionally polished or anything. All I'm trying to do is just add enough buttercream and texture to it. And this is the buttercream that was frozen anyway. So, and then that's, so what I'm going to do is, this is too much buttercream for me personally, but hey, I am just like, let's just add texture. So this is all I'm doing. I'm spreading the buttercream. I'm moving it around. And if I made this cake for Christmas, it will look like this. And I will throw chocolate pieces and more chocolate and stuff on it. So if you're a beginner, here's a tip. If you have this recipe to make for family, focus on just adding chocolate pieces, fresh fruits, and bits and bobs on the top, and that's it really. We're not trying to do anything extraordinary here. We're not trying to be heroes of the day. We are just literally, yeah, that's it. I'm not going to do anything, because if I try to do any more to this cake, I will ruin it, okay? So that's it. I mean, by creating this, can I still call myself a professional cake maker? What do you think? Because look at that. Isn't that amazing? I am actually excited. So let's wipe the worktop, take off these bits, and then let's cut into the cake and have a taste. I guess that's sort of what we should do now. Pleasure to have you. So right now, let me see if I can take this out. Okay, that actually works. All right, I really didn't. Oh, okay, I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay, first of all, let me wipe the parts where I have been touching with my dirty hands, my dirty chocolate hands. There you go. I mean, Claire knew what she was doing. Okay. All right. Okay. That's a tip I am taking with me for sure. All right. Anyway, let's get the knife in. And let's just seal that part. That's it. And yeah, apparently this is supposed to be the only chocolate cake recipe you'll ever need. That's not my claim. That was made by the person who developed the recipe and made the cake. So let's have a taste and let's see if the claims that are made about the cake is truly worth it. So where do we start? I mean, who doesn't love this? This is any chocolate lover's dream. And if you look at it, can you see the crumb of that cake? Okay. I am just here doing God's work. Okay. I just happen to have the best job in the world eating a cake. Yep. Look at the crumb. Okay, first of all, let's have a look at this crumb. Look at the crumb of the cake. It is very fine. It is evenly textured. Oh, okay. Let's just dig in, shall we? If you're watching me eat cake, thank you. And Shishi, the intention was not to make you jealous. Here's what I have to say, especially as somebody who doesn't like chocolate cake that much. Chocolate cake is not my favorite. That's some really good chocolate cake. Really good. The balance between the buttercream and the chocolate plus the crumb and the texture and mouthfeel, it just works. I don't like chocolate that much, and with such an amount of chocolate staring into my face, the most I could have eaten was half of this cake, and that would be enough to last me a week before I look at chocolate cake. But this is a good cake that, like your upmarket or upscale coffee shop that has a good cake, that is a bridge between, because the sort of cakes that are made, the industrially large produced, say, cake box style cakes are hardly anything like homemade cakes. But this happens to kind of meet somewhere in the middle, where it has the texture of an enhanced box mix, but in the best way possible. But on the flip side, it has the flavor and combinations of a homemade cake that is not overwhelmingly sweet, but it's perfect. I could eat this cake. Give me this chocolate cake any day. Finished. And that's it. So, here's a question. Is it worth the hype, and does it sustain with the claim that it's the only chocolate cake recipe you'll ever need? Yes. If I would eat this any day, every day, perhaps by tomorrow I would be sick of chocolate cake. But for what goes into making this cake, look at how dense it looks and dark in there. Like, if you could see what I'm seeing, it's just like the crumb of this cake is just like, oh, I now want myself a cup of tea and I want to go to sleep. So that's the finale of the Claire Saffitz cake